right, Amy, here we go. Final McQuaid Mission of the season. This is our series dedicated to finding solutions and spotlighting solutions when it comes to homeless and housing. As always, from Keys to Change, CEO Amy Schwabenlender is with us. And joining us today, Regional Outreach Manager 𝐥𝐢𝐯𝐞𝐝. I did it. Yes, thank you. And from the ASU Action Nexus Project Manager, 𝐥𝐢𝐯𝐞𝐝 is with us. Thank you guys for being here. All right, we're going to be talking about the impact of lived experience and how that can direct where your organizational needs need to go. And this is something that applies to all of us working to serve our community. And we've talked about this on the show before. Simply prescribing solutions isn't always the best approach. So Charlie, for you, the work you do, client input, obviously crucial. So tell us a little bit about that, how important it is to finding solutions.
Yeah, absolutely, Eric. So client input isn't just important in my work, it's foundational, especially when we're talking about outreach services for the homeless community. One of the most powerful ways to really open the door for trust and honest input is by having staff members with lived experience on the team. When someone who's been through homelessness, like myself, shows up to offer support, there's an immediate sense of understanding and credibility that just can't be faked. The client can then see that this person truly gets it. They know what it's like to sleep rough, to navigate services that feel impersonal or out of reach, and to face the stigma that often comes with being homeless. And when clients see that shared experience, it creates trust, real meaningful trust. And when clients trust us, they're far more willing to open up about details of their situation. And that input is gold. With that input, we're able to tailor services that will actually work for them, not what we just think will work from the outside looking in, such as what housing will feel safe, what steps in the process need to happen first based on specific barriers or traumas. So when we have people with lived experience on our outreach teams, we're not just hiring with empathy in mind, we're making our services smarter, more responsive, and more human. Because clients aren't just recipients of a service, they then become partners in shaping their own path out of homelessness.
Well, I love you, and I love you for sharing that story. That was fantastic, man.
Yeah.
Congratulations on being here. I love everything you're saying. 𝐥𝐢𝐯𝐞𝐝, let's kind of transition the conversation because it's a little bit different from Charlie's, but let's talk about the importance of what you see when you're hearing from lived experience when it comes to finding those solutions.
Yeah, so our office at ASU, we actually support a lived experience advisory council. So these are people within the field that are working, that have lived experience themselves, but want to be a part of bigger system change. So they're able to provide consultation and be able to give feedback to organizations, researchers, and helping them make decisions with lived experience involved. This year in January, we started a lived experience advisory council of clients at the 𝐞𝐫 campus. So there are folks that receive services on campus and they're able to give direct feedback to organizations, leaders. We've had, CEOs, program managers that provide services at the campus engaging in direct dialogue to hear about what's working, what's not working, and come up with solutions. We had a recent win that I wanted to share with everyone of the Client Advisory Council. So at the 𝐞𝐫 campus, we're going through a little bit of transition from the overflow shelter to heat relief. That's going to be starting June 1st. And so we had a conversation with the staff that are going to be taking over that new program about what would work well for the clients. They had a specific time that folks were going to check in, and they got to hear directly from clients that they might choose to skip a meal in order to get a bed. And they didn't want that. They're also a meal service provider on the campus. And so having a conversation about the choices, a small change in the time of a service drastically can impact how people experience services. And so we were able to give that feedback, engage with folks, and now they made the change, and so people don't have to choose between getting in line for food or having a shelter bed. So it's really great. Folks within the group have really enjoyed being able to have those dialogues and feeling like they get to make decisions with the people that are making the decisions. Being a part of the room, having a seat at the table like we talked about, that's that space for folks to be able to come in every week. We have weekly groups to just talk about what's going well, what can be improved, and come up with new great ideas.
That is a great one. I do love how conversations from other panels end up in this panel or other panels. All right, Amy, you've had some mic drop moments this year on this show. And in fact, you had one pretty recently that our audience really resonated with, and that was when we were talking about service philosophy. If you need to change or maybe even break your own rules to do what's right, do it. make the adjustment. And sounds like this is a little bit of taking lived experience and feedback into, it's time to break the rules for something.
Definitely, and I think similar to how you, Mom, start off with succession planning, and sometimes an organization doesn't do that out of some kind of fear.
Yeah.
And it's often similar around lived experience and either asking employees or clients, hey, give us feedback on this. You have to be vulnerable to ask for feedback. And when it comes to then asking people to tell you about how you're delivering your program, your service, the hours of operation, you have to be willing to hear it and take it in. And as both Charlie and Shaylee shared, there's different advantages that come out of having staff with lived experience, and there's a challenge of then supporting those staff. Because across our 120 some employees for Keys to Change, 75 to 80% of them have lived experience. Homelessness, incarceration, substance abuse, et cetera, right? And so then figuring out as an organization, how do we support our employees while they're doing this work that can be re-traumatizing, triggering, and having the resources there to support them, because the work is so much more successful in helping the unhoused, unsheltered people by having their experience there. We have to recognize they need then to be supported differently. And then having a group, and we should celebrate the Action Nexus.
Yeah.
Started in the pandemic. Shaylee's the second ASU project manager, just blowing up in a good way the things that the Action Nexus and interns are doing on the campus. And Shaylee and the interns challenging us as staff to say, hey, clients want to tell you what they think. And again, we have to say, okay, what are we going to do with all that feedback? Because they have a lot to say. And so we have to hear it, and then we have to manage and we've worked on prioritization. So they might have 50 things they've asked about, and we can't change all 50, or maybe there's reasons why. We're going to break rules, but there's still things we have to maintain, safety, and there are laws. I don't want to go to jail or prison.
Yeah, I think that's what you were saying.
Otherwise, we'll do whatever it takes. And homelessness, I don't want to go to jail or prison unless it gets us in the media. So just anyone knows. So we have to be open to it, and then we have to understand how to manage it. And if you're a leader, you have to be vulnerable enough to just listen and sort through and not take it personally that clients hate the hours you're open, or they hate the color of your shirt, or it's all over the place, right? But that we have to ask because they have so much to say. And for Keys to Change, we believe being client-centric, delivering, developing, continuing to innovate around services is by putting the client first. So I was thinking about innovation is not invention. And so we're innovating all the time by iterating through changes in our services and our programs. Sometimes we hear people ask, what are you doing to innovate around a solution to homelessness? We're not inventing new solutions, but we're iterating to improve upon the solutions that are already there. Yeah. And that's innovation.
And I love the innovation going on down there. And again, my sort of call to action always midway through these action panels is to take a tour, see what's going on down there at Key Campus. You've seen the show. You know the drill now, so Charlie, you're up. Room full of community leaders.
Yeah.
What's your call to action?
I'd say it's going to be short.
10 words?
So I'd say donate, volunteer, and advocate for the homeless community.
Yeah.
Any of those three choices can literally change lives.
All right, Shaylee, that was fantastic. You're up.
Yeah, mine is not going to be 3 words. So I was thinking about, before you make decisions within your organization or your company, really think about the people that are going to be impacted. You don't have to work within homeless services. Any field, when you make a decision as a company, you are going to impact someone's life. And so include them in the conversation if possible, so that folks don't feel like things are happening to them. You are bringing them in and you are including them and giving them a chance to share, and then maybe you'll come up with an even greater decision.
Fantastic. Okay. All right, Amy, you've seen the theme building with this episode. We talked about building your bench, rising through the ranks. I want you to wrap up this season finale with a call to action, with your words, because I know you have some news as well you wanted to share.
I do, and it's not directly a call to action quite yet.
Okay.
We have some time. We have about 6 months to figure out an action and a transition plan. And this is a planned succession opportunity that we have, although it's making a lot of us sad and have emotions. And we have time to process them. I'm really doing my best to not make eye contact with the person a couple rows back. Tish Brown-Gambino, who's been our executive director of Key Campus for the last 2 years, has decided to retire out of 501c3 homeless services leadership. She has spent over 30 years working in homeless services, starting out doing outreach, case management, moving into learning about permanent supportive housing, rapid rehousing, being a consultant, a licensed counselor. So when she came to us, she's made such a difference to have these conversations around how do we support employees who have lived experience? Oh my goodness, how do we manage all this client feedback? What do we do with all of this? Tish has brought an amazing, I might make myself cry. I can't look at her, she's over there.
Stay here.
Look
Stay
at
here.
Look, I'm just talking to you
Yeah, there you
about
go.
Tish. So she has brought this amazing set of skills to Phoenix, to Arizona, and also then challenging us to think about her experience in Connecticut. And we're so different. Being able, though, to also hear someone who's been in a state where policy is directed differently, resources are directed differently, to give us the hope and optimism that Arizona can do it too, and it is possible to end homelessness. So in 6 months, next January, she will be moving to Texas to spend more time with her family and taking care of babies and doing some of her outside counseling work. So it's not time to say goodbye, but we wish her well and look forward to having a transition plan over the next 6 months.
Congratulations, Tish.